Hey guys, welcome back to Karting with Chris. Today, Ben and I are going to go to DKC and do the rental kart races there. Cue the intro. Hey guys, welcome back, and no, your ears do not deceive you. My brother and I are at Dallas Karting Complex. One thing you need to note going into this race is that my brother and I have basically zero experience in these karts around this track. So we're starting in third place, which really surprised me considering that my qualifying was basically me figuring out the track because there are no practice sessions. My brother is starting in 10th. He didn't have the best of qualifyings. But again, I'm still pretty happy with third place. So we're starting directly behind the pole sitter for this race, and I have no idea how these races go at the start. So I'm just going to follow the guy in first. We're going to push him down the straight here, looking for that green flag. Flagman waves green and we're good to go. So right off the bat, we're just going to push the guy in first, look to the inside, making sure no one's going to dive bomb us. Still trying to follow first place, not going to really go for that move. And then second place was actually able to hold it around the outside through turn one. We're side by side going through these couple of corners up here. He pulls out in front and then I'm getting challenged again. I hold it around the outside and then I'll have the inside for these next couple of corners up here. And now the race is starting to settle down. So overall the start was not that bad. We didn't gain a position, but we also didn't lose one. So, kind of staying in the middle there. So looking up ahead, we've got kart number 26. He started in second. He was able to hold it around the outside. And I'm noticing that he's a little slower than me because I'm catching up to him through these couple of corners. I'm sensing weakness in him. So if I ever get the opportunity, I think I'm going to pass him. I'm not going to work together with him because if he is slower, then he's just going to hold me up. So going through these last couple of corners here, we're not quite on his bumper, but he does go a little wide right there. And now going through the second to last corner and then the last corner, we're going to get in that slipstream. These karts actually surprised me how well the slipstream worked in these things. Get in the slipstream, he sees me, pull along beside him, and then going into turn one up here, we're going to brake a little harder than him, hug the apex, and now we're up into second place. So coming out of turn one, I tap my helmet, point forward. I tell the guy I just passed, let's catch up to first place because two people are faster than one person. And hopefully he agrees with me. You know, not everyone here knew how to work together, but I felt like a good majority of the top people knew how to work together. So hopefully we can work together and catch up to the guy in first. So going through this small left-hander, I look behind me and I noticed that the guy behind me was starting to fall back, so it was a smart idea to pass him early so we wouldn't get stuck behind him and let first place pull away from us. But now we've got to try and catch up to first place with nobody to work with, which is going to be kind of hard because during qualifying he was about 3/10 faster than me. But like I said at the beginning of this video, qualifying was just me basically trying to figure out the track. So while you're racing, it's not really the best idea to experiment, but if I stay behind the guy in first, I can kind of see where he's faster, where he's slow, and kind of figure out how to catch up to him. So I say I've never been here before, but if you look at my past videos, I did do a DKC video, but those were in the two-seater karts with my brother and we didn't really learn the track for these kind of karts, because in the two-seaters, everything's full throttle, so it's really easy. But these karts, not everything's full throttle, so you gotta, learn where to brake and where not to brake. So you're probably wondering how equal these karts are, and they were actually all very equal. There was no kart that was absolutely faster than another. There were like one or two that were a little slow, but once they realized those were a little slow, they took them out and replaced them with another kart. I think the reason they were all so equal is because someone told me they were about a month old, so they're relatively new karts, and so that makes it a lot better for racing like this. So I am going to do a review of this league race, but I'm going to save that for my final video because some of the things that happened in that race will reflect my overall review of this league race. So make sure you're watching out for that video. But what I will review are these carts in this video. So these carts, like I just said, are about a month old. They have the F1 steering wheel, and I'm just going to tell you my opinion. Not everyone shares the same opinions as me, but the F1 steering wheel, in my opinion, is not really that great because F1 steering wheels are custom made for the F1 drivers. These aren't custom made for individual drivers, and so there's really only one hand position you can have on the steering wheels versus a round steering wheel. You can kind of put your hand where you're used to. Also, these carts aren't really best for people above 6 feet tall because I'm about 6'2" with no shoes, and my knees, as you can see, are right next to the steering wheel. It was very uncomfortable to drive. Another thing I recommend that's not just for the DKC carts, it's for all rental carts, is bring some sort of padding because these seats in these rental carts are quite big. They're meant for chunky people. And if you're not that big, you can get thrown around in the seat, and so I would just recommend bringing like a foam padding or a rib protector so you don't get all bruised up. So I know I just went through all the things that I don't like about these carts, but some of the things I do like about these carts is that they're all equal, especially since they're newer carts. I mean, that will change over time, but it shows that Dallas Karting Complex really cares about their carts. They're willing to spend more money on newer carts. Another thing I liked about these carts is the top speed. Now they do say they will go like 60 plus miles an hour. I don't really know if I was going 60 plus miles an hour. I don't have a speedometer on these carts, but I'm just gonna have to trust them. But I didn't feel like they were slow in a straight line. Compared to other rental tracks, I felt like they were pretty good in a straight line. Through the corners, these carts do feel heavy. I mean, all carts feel heavy through the corners, but there wasn't as much understeer as most rental tracks. I feel like the response was a little more than other tracks. Not as much response as like a cart you own, but it still had good response in my opinion. So that's enough of my boring review of these carts. I mainly did that review for some of you people who don't know if you want to go to this track or not. I recommend going to this track. The carts are actually pretty good. So we are catching up to the guy in first place, slowly, but we are catching up to him. Some of the corners I noticed that I was faster than were the corners near the end of the lap. Near the beginning, it was about equal, but I noticed near the end I would slowly catch up to him. So around this track, I actually don't know what a fast lap is. For qualifying, I set a 72.3, which was enough for third, so I guess I was good enough. For this pre-final, I set a 71.8, which was actually the fastest lap of the event, but I still felt like I could go a little faster than that. I didn't feel like I was right on the edge of what the kart could handle. So going through these couple of corners, this is where I noticed I was a little bit faster than the leader. This is what I was talking about before, that near the end of the lap, I would catch up to him. So we are now within a kart length of the leader, and we can start to make a plan on how we're going to get around him. So going through these last couple of corners here, they're easily flat out, and now we are within the slipstream of the leader. We're going to get into that toe, he's going to pull us along. The slipstream, like I said before, is really powerful, and we're not going to pass him. Now watching this video, I for sure would have passed him going into turn 1. I mean, we had the momentum, but for some reason while I was doing this race, I was in the mentality that I should pass him on the last lap. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to be screaming at me, no Chris, you should have passed him right then and there, but for some reason I decided to pass him on the last lap. So passing on the last lap has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are that if you pass on the last lap near the end of the lap, they don't have a lot of opportunities to pass you back. The disadvantages are that, if you do save it to the end, sometimes those gaps don't appear and you just wasted the last lap. So going through this corner up here, I'm going to go on the outside. I don't think I could have stuck the move or passed him on the outside, but it does let the guy in first know that I am trying to pass him. I'm not just going to stick behind him, and hopefully that'll make him a little nervous, and hopefully it'll make him make some mistakes. So going through the last couple of corners here, we're not quite close enough to go for any moves, And then going on to the straight here, we're actually not close enough to get into that draft. We see the flagman waving last lap. I look behind me just to make sure it's just going to be a two-way battle for first, and there's no one behind me. It's just going to be me in first place. So wasn't close enough to go for a move through turn 1. Going through these corners up here, I am catching him on the exit of turn 1, and going through these corners up here, it's about even. And then we're going to go through these corners up here. I don't know the numbers of these corners, so please apologize for me just calling them these corners. Still about even. The chicane, I was a little inconsistent through the chicane, and he was a little more consistent. You can see he just pulls away a little more. But then going up here into this corner, this is where I noticed I would catch up to him the most. So going up into this left-hander, he goes in too hot, and it causes him to lose momentum on the exit. I'm going to dive on the inside to this right-hander up here, send it on the inside, push him out really wide. It's really bumpy on the exit over there. And now we're in first place. We're going to try and hold it through these last couple of corners here, making sure he can't get by. These last couple of corners are a little tricky to pass on. It's not impossible. Track out all the way into the blue, and then it's going to be a straight up drag race to the end. I know he's got the draft. I look to the right, he's right there, and we get first place.
He's done it!
No one has ever done that! No one has ever done that!
Get in there, Lewis. Great work, mate.
All joking aside, this was a very fun race. Good driving from every driver, especially the guy that we battled near the end. He was pretty good. We were able to take that victory, and hopefully we can move this into the final race and finally get that podium. Maybe DKC is the track for me, maybe not. We'll find out in the final race. Now, I was leading this cooldown lap, and you would think I would know where the pit entry is. And sadly, I had no idea where the pit entry is because, again, this is my first time here. So I thought I saw it right here, but that was actually the pit exit. Spin around and made a complete fool of myself.
What a blithering idiot.
I did eventually find the pit entry as I give my friend Nico a little fist bump here. And the race director came up to me in the pits and he was yelling at me, telling me not to do that again. But I had to explain to him that I had never been here before, and I think he understood. But that's all I have for today. If you liked the video, please subscribe, and if you have any questions, suggestions, or opinions, please comment below. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.